Welcome to Golf World's 2017 Blade Putters Test. We're here at the Belfry and we've got three of the latest models from Bettinardi, Ping and Toulon Design. Let's head down to the practice green and see what these can do.
The Bettinardi, designed in the USA, made in the USA. It's got a honeycomb face, which helps to control some of the skid and roll on the ball. And also, which is the most impressive part, is it's milled from a complete piece of steel, which means that there's no join, and that's quite important because the flow or feel of the putter in terms of the strike comes right through the whole head, so there's no refraction and no vibration felt.
This Bettinardi BB1 putter is an absolute work of art. It just screams craftsmanship at you. They've changed the colour up from last year's model. It was silver with the blue. Now it's this sort of dark, almost black colour with the green trim. Personally, I don't think that looks quite as premium, but the moment you start rolling the ball, you forget about that. It feels buttery, it feels soft, perhaps not quite as forgiving as some of the others putters that we've tested, but this is all about craftsmanship and feel, and it absolutely delivers in bucket loads in those terms.
I was really impressed with this, to be fair, and with blade putters, that wouldn't be my necessarily choice, a personal choice in terms of design, but I was really impressed in terms of how this controlled skid on the ball, to the point where the roll percentages were really high. I expected it to be a lot lower. Really liked the feel off this, and also liked the fact that you could feel it. The pinpoint strike, you could really feel where that was in the face, so it made the response in terms of the strike and where you struck it really easy to understand. With putters, it's always hard to sort of genre them or put them into a kind of a pocket, because it's all going to come down to whether you prefer or like the shape or that blade, that classic, answer styles. So, I mean, in fairness, if you like it very unfussy with loads of feel and lots of feedback, then this is definitely one of the putters to consider. The key technology here, for me anyway, in terms of how it works, was the face. Seemingly it takes 49 minutes to actually mill the face of each putter, and it's a very complex series of diagonals and grooves which help to control the way that the ball comes off the face in terms of spin control. Again, very much hyped up on how quickly can we get the ball rolling in terms of the hit. Some cool, obviously, weights and inserts, and in terms of the milling itself, it's obviously a fully milled putter, so very, very well designed and very well made.
So the Toulon San Diego, this was a really interesting one for me, because it was probably the one that I least liked the look of when I initially put it down behind the ball. It's quite a square looking answer style design, a little bit boxy in some ways with very sharp corners and edges. I prefer a little bit of curve, so initially it didn't suit my eye. But then you hit it, and my God, does this thing roll the ball pure. This face, it was a little interesting to me that it didn't have any of this kind of groove technology that's meant to dissipate the speed and even the ball speed across the face. But you get such a purity of roll from it. You can just feel the friction as you rub your finger across. The distance control is there, the roll is there. It's one that really grew on all of our testers the more you used it. You've got to get it in your hands. That being said, it's not cheap, so you really need to buy into everything that Toulon is doing and what this putter does. But if you can stump up the cash, my word, is this going to perform for you.
Off the charts in terms of the face feel. All the golfers that tested it said that they loved the way that it felt off the face. And that's quite important for putters who like to feel the way that the ball reacts to the face. So it's not just a hit and hope, there's a general sense of feel, which means you can judge pace very easily. Because of the high roll percentages off these putters when we test them, it meant that this putter wanted to roll quickly, which meant that judging distance, especially on the long putts, was very, very, very easy, and also the shorter putts very sweet and delivered in terms of the feel off the face. It's probably going to be your sort of, your connoisseur of putting. In terms of the feel off the face, someone that wants to feel the ball, and again for that judgment and control. It sets up really square behind the ball as well. I really like the way that it lined up. So if you're a fairly good putter and you want uber response in terms of how the ball feels off the face, and also that good spin control, this is the one to go for. The Kinloch putter has a aluminium face insert layered up on top of an elastomer insert. So basically the face sits down inside this elastomer or plastic piece. And also they've gone with a very cool, unique face design which helps spread speed across the face, speed control across the face, so for slight off-center hits.
So the Ping Sigma G Kinloch was an interesting one in this test because it's a fair bit cheaper than the other 3 putters. And to be absolutely honest, you do kind of feel it's a little bit cheaper and not quite at the premium end of the spectrum. Having said that, the performance was really encouraging. In terms of the roll numbers, it was right there competing with the other 2, pretty consistent across the face. My personal opinion of the noise, it's quite a loud sounding putter and you get more phonetic feedback from this than the other 2. That may be something you like or it may be something you don't, but you have to try it for yourself to see. The insert was an interesting one because the elastomer certainly gave it a bit of a softer feel and probably less feedback in terms of vibration as to where you hit it on the face in comparison to the other 2 blade putters. Yet you still got a little bit of a louder noise from that aluminium insert on top of the elastomer. Generally, it performed really, really well, and at a lower price point, it definitely gives you something to think about.
This suits the type of player that doesn't really want to feel too much click or sort of noise or vibration from the putter. It does dampen the feel of the putt quite a lot. And a lot like those insert putters do, they feel soft and sort of almost spongy to the point where it's much sort of easier for guys that hit the ball a bit hard or a bit aggressive in terms of how they putt. It sort of nulls it out a little bit and gives it a little bit more control. The face itself did work well in terms of controlling the speed off the face and also the launch direction. It was very good at keeping stuff online. And I think it was probably the easiest putter to square up. It's the first of all you have to kind of buy in or like the shape of it. I think that's the first hurdle. If you're that type of golfer who doesn't really like to see too small a shape, or you struggle with how that looks, or certainly the MOI story, these are going to be it's going to be hard to get into these. But what I would try and get people to do is at least try the technology. So don't just dissuade on and say, well, I don't like the look of it, so I'm never going to try it. I would take up the Toulon, I would take up the Ping, and certainly the Bettinardi, have a putt with them, because you may find that what you're looking for in terms of feel and speed control can be swayed a little by the design. So it's worth trying these first. Don't just sort of say, no, not interested because I don't like the shape of them. Sort of interacts with the ball, which is key to putting, really. There's a little bit of, a large element actually of technique involved, but certainly if you can marry your technique with the way that the different technologies work in controlling the way that the ball skids and then rolls, you can find that actually these putters themselves will be extraordinarily successful at making sure that your putt gets online and stays online. The big difference here is you've got smart people like Sean Toulon involved in putter design, and these guys know how to manipulate ball and certainly how the ball rolls. So I think the big change in terms of technology nowadays will be how they've managed to machine and consistently machine the faces in order to get the ball to react very differently than it did 5 or 10 years ago. So I think the face design is the one key thing that's changed a lot, and also the fact that like Ping can now put in a plastic elastomer and put an insert inside of that and then groove it on top. So I think that the face technology has come to the point where these putters definitely need to be taken seriously.
So what an interesting test that was, and all 3 of our blades performed admirably. The Bettinardi with its buttery soft feel, the Ping's all-round performance, and that pure roll off of the Toulon. There's still plenty of life in blade putters, so get out there and try one. You might just like it.